first. So we are here for the AMA show. Good to see you all as always. Coach Woody here with Kristin Rinkel in the house. Kristin, congratulations again on the new position, moving out to sunny Colorado, the Sunshine State, as Lloyd liked to call it, I think, in Dumb and Dumber.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited for it. And especially the sunshine. And I know the air is drier there too. So kind of excited for a lack of humidity and just new adventures. Yeah.
Yeah, a little less humid out there than what we've been seeing here in sunny Indiana, but that's okay. Today, oh my gosh, we have some. I glanced at the questions on the survey. I didn't read them in depth because, again, I love to ask these. I love to answer these questions kind of off the cuff. That makes the live part a little bit more exciting, right? So it's kind of like those radio shows back in the day. They call in. Luckily, because we have the form, although people could call in, they could hop on live and ask us the question. But since we do have the form, we have a lot less prank calls than a typical radio show. So I guess that's a bonus of people not wanting to hop on live and ask their questions. So excited about it though.
Yeah, very excited for these questions. I think the last one we talked about on our last show was an anonymous question about how to schedule and make progress on multiple large projects that this person wants to do but doesn't have to do, and while still maintaining life, like working and cooking and cleaning. And what inspired their question was just a current frustration of looking at a list of projects of things that they want to do, but there's not necessarily a timeline. What do you do in that situation when there's no external deadline, but they're good things to do for, your family or your friends or yourself?
Yeah. I love that question. How to prioritize maybe the things that don't feel as important, maybe urgent or non-urgent, as we think about the Eisenhower Matrix. If nobody knows that as a tool for prioritization, feel free to check it out. But before we hop onto that question, I'm very excited about that. Just as a heads up and a reminder for those listening, maybe for the first time, Next Better, we help you figure out direction towards a fulfilling life so you can do meaningful work. That's what we're here for. And so my goal is that we continue to create content for that. So if you like the AMA show after you get done listening, if you don't like it, well, then don't follow. Okay. There's lots of things out there to follow. You don't have to follow us. We'd love you to, though. So if you do like it, feel free to follow us. Subscribe to our Next Better podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you cast your pods. We also have a newsletter where we put out the Ask Me Anything show, the bi-weekly podcast that we do with experts in all the areas of our well-being. We also do a blog post in that news article, and then we do some sort of act, because it's one thing to think about things all the time. We think a lot, we have a lot of ideas, but we have to take action. So feel free to hop on the newsletter as well. You can find that in my LinkedIn profile, Coach Woody, at Coach Woody on LinkedIn, or my Instagram at Coach Woody. So feel free to follow if you want. Now let's talk about prioritization. So I love this. Do we get a name for this individual? Is this anonymous?
No. Anonymous. Yep.
A.Anonymous. Okay. Thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous. I appreciate you. So there's a couple approaches that we can take for this situation. Okay. We could go into tactics and how do we prioritize things using things like the Eisenhower Matrix, which is basically a 2x2 grid that talks about urgency versus priority, or urgency versus importance, right? So the top right quadrant, depending on how you put it together, is going to be urgent and important. And obviously those are things that you really need to get done. There are things that are important, but maybe not urgent. We think of things like exercise, daily habits that, obviously you don't have to exercise today to stay alive, but they're important. So we need to be able to make habits for those things. Not urgent, not important is obviously very easy to just kind of shrug off, like, yeah, well, don't need to do those, get rid of those. Although there are a lot of things that we probably still have on our plate. Like those of you who are still out here putting together email folder systems, stop it. I'm wagging my finger at you. Those are urgent, not urgent, not important, right? If you like organization, I'm not knocking on you. Figure out a different way to use it effectively. And then you have the the other quadrant, which is the other quadrant, which is usually like a delegation. They're not important, but they're urgent, right? That's a delegation task, right? So somebody else could be doing that, right? That maybe finds it more important or finds it more engaging or more meaningful. So there are tools out there that you can do to definitely do this. I think one of the bigger problems in this realm isn't necessarily a tool set, but a mindset. Because the question I have for you is, if you want to do them, why aren't we doing them? And if we're not doing them because they're not as important as the other things, then my question becomes, then why do you want to do them? Now, if you are lessening the importance of these things because they are not returning an investment of, say, money, well, then you have to start to ask yourself, what are you trying to get out of these things? A lot of times when we're looking at these things, we're thinking of things like house chores, or maybe you want to quilt, or you want to do more. I love playing pickleball. You want to play more pickleball, right? I was standing in the shower this morning going, do I go play pickleball? Do I not go play pickleball? There's so many other things I could be doing that are quote unquote a return on my investment, right? And I went and played pickleball. Why? Because I love to be physically active. I love to be mentally balanced. I know that I'm going to have a late night tonight. And so of work, because I have a leadership workshop that I'm doing tonight. And so I knew that I was going to put in later night. So go play pickleball in the morning to kind of balance that out. And so you have to start to ask yourself, what is it that I'm trying to get out of these things that I'm trying to add to my plate? And if I am trying to get a return on that investment, if the true reason why I'm having trouble prioritizing is because I don't see a return on the investment, then you have to reframe what that means by return on investment. I don't make money on pickleball. Gosh, I wish I did. But I do get a lot of benefit from it. And so for me, I use a framework that has 8 different areas to improve our wellness. For those people listening that have maybe listened before, they know that those areas are physical, spiritual, social, material, vocational. I tried to say them way too quick, right? And then mental. Okay. And then there's an outside one called spatial and an inside one called directional. So 8 different areas we can improve our lives. And so we hyper focus on the money piece, and you have to have money to survive. Don't get me wrong, in this day and age, but we can start to look at these frameworks as a better way to ask ourselves of the return on investment. What's my return on investment for pickleball? Physically, I'm healthier. I'm a social being, so I love connecting with people. So that brings me a lot of joy to be connected with people. I like to improve myself in certain areas, and I just get some joy and some fun out of playing pickleball. And so my return on my investment is those things. And so you have to ask yourself, what is it you're trying to get out of that? Because if you can't clearly articulate that, then you shouldn't want to do it. It's not benefiting you. If it's because society tells you need to do more of it, or you're feeling pressure from your family to get it done more, then you have to check yourself and ask yourself, is this an external factor that's telling me I need to do this, or an internal one? If it's, I would enjoy doing it, but I don't feel like I deserve to be able to do that because there's so many other things I should be doing, well, then you have to do a little bit of internal work to ask yourself, like, why don't you deserve to do those things? Because you do, right? If quilting brings you joy and relaxes you and gives you a little bit more mental clarity, then do that thing, right? Find a way to give yourself permission to do that. I found that when you have a framework, for instance, like financial, everybody's worried about financial, build some structure into your budget or your budgeting practice so that you know, hey, we're doing good with money. We don't have to worry about it. We have enough money for food, water, shelter, space, which is the basics. Then we have enough money for vacation, so we can do the things we want to do when we want to do them. We're okay with money, and we reflect on those things every couple of weeks or a couple of months, so that I don't have to worry about, do I need to be making more money? No, the answer is no. So can you go quilt? Yes. And there's this whole movement of financial independence and kind of retiring early and things like that. So if you're excited about that, then that's another practice to help you with that. If your catch up is, I shouldn't be doing these fun things because I should be doing things that are more important. So again, it comes back to, why do you want to do it? can you measure the quote unquote return on investment on that? And there's not always a clear measurement, but you should be able to tell yourself why you want to do these things. And then you start to get clarity around what's the catch up as to why you don't feel like you deserve to do those things. Whether it's because you're worried your spouse is going to think something different. Well, then let's have a talk with your spouse. You think that society is going to think differently of you. Well, who cares? You're going to lose your job. Check yourself, right? Like, what is it? Like, getting deeper into those mindsets. I've often found that the reason people don't engage in those things that they want to do is because there's some sort of limiting belief behind why they feel they can't. And then once you understand that limiting belief, because I could tell you all the tactics till I'm blue in the face, but you're always going to bias yourself into, well, this other thing is more important because it's work. So I'm going to send another hour of emails. The emails will never quit. The emails will never go away. Ever, ever, ever. And guess what, guys? I love you to death. When you retire, somebody will take your job and they will continue the work because that's how it works. And so do your job, do it well. Find things that you value beyond that and start to give yourself permission to do those other things because you deserve it. And they're going to have a return on investment. You just got to figure out maybe what that is.
I love that. What do you think about, like, if there's like two projects, like quilting, making a t-shirt quilt for your family, and then working on writing a journal?
Yeah.
Would it be, both of those don't really have time limits. Would it be best to focus on one project at a time? Say they're both equally important, in a way. Would it be best to like focus on one project at a time, or chip away at each, and schedule in little bits of time every day?
Yeah, I like that. I can't answer that question for a couple of different reasons. The biggest one being I don't know what the projects are. So, but I'm going to give you a concept that I think is really helpful here. A couple concepts. One of the first is one of my favorite quotes is, "The fox that chases two chickens catches neither." So if you're struggling because you have a bunch of little things to do one thing at a time, right? So if you have two projects going on and you're like, I don't know, like which one do I do first? What do I do? Just pick the one that's a little bit more finite and finish it. Because if you're trying to do two things at once, you're not going to do either one of them very, very well. And multitasking is a myth. It's been debunked neurologically. You can't multitask. You can do a lot of different things at the same time, but you're going to do most of them poorly. Okay. There's certain things you can, and that's like folding the laundry while you watch TV. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. But focus on one first and finish it. If there's a time component, or if you're just really struggling to prioritize. Okay. If you're really struggling, like I'm going to write a journal or I'm going to quilt for my family, right? Well, if it's for a birthday party, then you got a timeline, get it done. But if there's not, if you just want to quilt, well, if the journal's going to give you the sense, if you finish the journal and then you can put it on Amazon and start selling it and it just kind of does its own thing, well, finish that, get it done, because there's compounding interest to finishing that earlier, right? The earlier you finish, the more benefit on the backside. Whereas the quilt, nobody even really asked for the quilt. You just thought it would be a cool gift. So they're going to get it and be like, oh, thanks. And then they're going to put it in the drawer and, it's going to go away. You wanted to do the quilt more because you wanted to see if you could do it. You thought it'd be a cool gift. Okay, well then do that later. Push that off a little bit. Finish the journal, get the compound interest, and then go and do it. And so I think understanding the backside benefit to each of the projects. But again, the fox that chases two chickens catches neither. I think that's an important thing to think about. Like, do one, then do the other. If these are things that you just want to get better at, so there's a difference between finishing a project and having a practice. That's something I try to really help my clients understand. Your life is not a project. There is a finish line, but it's not the one you're striving. Like, it's not a finish line you want to get to quickly, right? So it's not a project, it's a practice. So if you're wanting to get better at quilting, that's a practice. That's not a project. It's the problem I see a lot with people who like start a marathon. So they buy a treadmill And then you see the treadmill in their basement and it's covered with like clothes and it becomes a laundry, hanger, because they treated the marathon as a project, which is fine. It's nice to have milestones to give yourself motivation, but you should have considered it a practice, an exercise practice. So now I have a practice of getting on the treadmill and running. And so I'm using that practice. And so I sound like Ted Lasso. We're talking about practice. If anybody's seen Ted Lasso, you know what I'm talking about. But if it's a project, well, then it's finite. So get the thing done, knock it off, and move on. But if it's a practice, I want to quilt more. There's a cool guy by the name of Jesse Itzler. A lot of people know Jesse. He's a very successful entrepreneur. And he talks about this concept that I used to say it was 11 minutes. I was wrong. 18 minutes a day is all it takes for a year to become better than 90 to 95% of anybody at a particular task. So if I play the harmonica intentionally every day for 18 minutes, I will be better than 90 to 95% of the people in the world at playing the harmonica, right? And so if I want that to be a practice, well, then I just focus on incorporating it into my life on a daily basis. And then I can do two things at once. I was doing this for a little while. I wanted to learn a new language and an instrument. So I did 15 minutes of a new language, 15 minutes of an instrument. The reason I did that is because both of those things have been found to curb dementia, and dementia runs in my family. And so I wanted to increase, and at the end of the day, I can speak Spanish now. Cool. I can play a harmonica when we're camping. Cool. So there was multiple benefits to it. But I wasn't like, I got to finish the harmonica first because I got to get it done. It's like, no, it was a practice. If it was a project, I need to play the harmonica for my family on this one trip and then I'll be done forever. Well, then, there's a difference in urgency there. So I think that's an important thing to consider here too, is if you want to do multiple things at once, then if it's for the purpose of a practice, that's one thing. You want to incorporate that into your daily life. If it's a purpose of a project, then you can understand it because it's more time restricted.
Makes sense. That's great. Great advice.
Oh, thank you.
We have another question, anonymous again.
Same person.
Yeah, right, maybe. Wondering, what are 3 practical steps I can take to keep my work and personal life organized while in a job transition and moving? What inspired their question was they just began their first time adult job after graduating college and just getting settled in. And they are also getting ready to close on a new house and will be moving in a few weeks. So they're wondering if there are any tricks, maybe 3 practical steps or tricks, to stay organized while in major transitions. That is pretty huge. That's a huge life shift.
Yeah. I love that. Sounds similar to you, huh?
Right. Yeah, a little bit, except for the closing on a new house. That's sure. Probably even more stressful than anything I'm doing. But yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I love it. So 3 practical tips. I love that. That is such our society right now. Give me the 3 steps that I can take to fix the thing with the stuff, right? That's not how I work. So as much as I would love to do that, I'm gonna shift back just a little bit, because I think, again, this I don't know this person well enough to say, well, because I understand your mindset and I understand what's important to you and how you prioritize things, then here are the 3 things that I would suggest. Okay. So I don't want to assume things. And I don't want to be rude by suggesting that this person is like any other person. So I think the first thing is to take a step back and consider kind of what they're going through. When COVID hit, there was this really, really big sense of anxiety on a societal level. And anxiety is simply a generalized fear about an unknown potential in the future. That is all anxiety is, right? If anybody wants to challenge me on that, please, let's have a conversation, right? It is a generalized fear about an unknown potential of the future, right? I'm not sure what's going to happen, and therefore I'm worried about it, right? Very few species have anxiety besides humans, because they don't have the capacity to think ahead into the future, right? So when that hit, one of the things I was really encouraging people, I was thinking through this concept of this idea of chaos and order, right? This balance between chaos, which is things are unruly, they're unkempt, they're uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. And order, which is they're very systematic, they're very structured, they're very process driven, right? We know what's going to happen, and we kind of have, a sense of order. And so everybody looks at those two things and they go, well, obviously chaos is bad and order is good. And that's easy to say, except chaos is where art and imagination and innovation occur from, right? Every entrepreneur will tell you, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to figure it out. And through that need to figure it out, there's going to be newness, there's going to be excitement, there's going to be creativity. So if we got rid of chaos, we'd get rid of that. But too much chaos, we don't have any idea what's going on. Our pets' heads are falling off. That's the second Dumb and Dumber reference in this show. So like that's not okay. It's too far. Same with order. Everybody loves order. We love systems. We love processes. That's how businesses scale, is through process. So yeah, we got a great startup, but now we got to scale it. But the problem with too much order is Nazism, right? Basically what it boils down to. Like, you're going to do exactly what I say, how I say it, when I say it. There's no room for error. There's no room for judgment. There's no room for talking. Dictatorship, 101 is order. And so we got to have a balance of those things. So as this person steps into this space of chaos, because that's what's kind of going on, there's some uncertainty here, new job, new location, new house, all these things. Then the first thing I would recommend, which is what I recommended during COVID, is put one of your feet. If you have one foot in chaos, put your other foot in order. Go lean into the things that are certain for you. What do you have certainty in your life? What is not changing? Because as much as things changed during our world in COVID, so many things did not change. So many things stayed the same. We still had our family. We still had our love. We still had food on the table. We still had the ability to drive our cars. There were so many things, and I'm not downplaying the effects of COVID. It hit my house and my heart too. But by allowing ourselves to remember what didn't change, that kept us from the anxiety-ridden spiral of like, oh my God, what's going to happen? So that's the first thing. So I guess the practical step 101 is to formulate some sort of practice in the morning, if you want, of basically what it boils down to is gratitude. Gratitude is being thankful for the things you already have. So being grateful and then expressing that great gratitude. So in the morning, list 5 things that have not changed that you're grateful for, whether that's family back home, whether that's you still have your family with you and that hasn't changed. They're still here. You still have your physical health, whatever that looks like, and the ability to improve that. You still have a roof over your head. Like, these are all the things that haven't changed. You are still capable of getting another job if this job doesn't work out. Everybody thinks, oh, what if I have to go get another job and I'm back to square one? Nobody's ever back to square one. They can't take away your experiences, right? You have those. And so starting a gratitude practice every single day to make sure that that's something that you can remember, all the things you're grateful for that you already have. So that'd be practical step number 1. Step number 2 is I would find a routine that allows you to get a little sense of order into your day very, very quickly. So I have my routine. Usually I tell people morning routines are the best, not because morning time is the best time, but because you have the most control over your morning. You can't decide when you go to sleep, right? Everybody's like, what do you mean by that? You like go to sleep right now. Just click, turn it off, go to bed, heads in beds, right? Can't do that. But you can decide when you want to wake up. You can set an alarm. You can get out of bed. You can make the conscious decision. Then you can decide to do the things in the beginning of the day. So having a morning routine is another thing that I think would be really powerful in this situation to be able to handle, because again, we're talking about what do I have control over? What order do I have in my life? And then the last one I would say is reflect on the things that you were leaving that weren't serving you anymore as you step into this new area and new era of your life, and ask yourself, what would you like to bring into your life that you didn't have before? Because the first 2 are leaning into this idea of getting order. But what I would hate to do is to recommend that you don't take an opportunity to invite something new into your life with this beautiful experience that you have in front of you. We don't move a lot in our lives, or at least I did. Not a lot of people do, unless you're in the military. So you don't always have this new experience, new neighbors, new space, new opportunity, new parks, new school systems, so much newness. So ask yourself, what was it that was missing in my life before? Doing a little bit of reflection, going on some walks, doing some meditations, whatever the practice is, to get you away from the day-to-day grind. Get off your phone, throw your phone in a garbage disposal, and then go on a walk and just ask yourself, what was it that I didn't like about the old space? What was it that that maybe we were lacking? What are some things that I wish would have been different back then? And then give yourself that new opportunity to step into something new that you didn't have the opportunity to do before. So I would say those would be the 3 practical steps that I would take is gratitude practice to make sure you remember what you do have, a morning routine so that you have the chance to build in some structure into your day so that you do remember what you do have, and then reflect on what you would like to bring in, whether that's new co-working situations, new exercise routine, whatever new family habit, like you didn't do family breakfasts before, and now you want to do that. Ask yourself what you'd like to build in that's going to bring you a little bit more joy that you didn't have the opportunity to do last time.
That's great. And I feel like adding a routine really helps you feel like the rest of your life is organized, because you're allowing your brain to kind of stay organized and feel like it has a little bit of control.
Yeah. There's a reason they make people in the military make their beds. 2 reasons. One, it's the first success of the day. No matter what happens the rest of the day, you have 1 win. And 1 win typically turns into 2, turns into 3, turns into 4. And 2, no matter what happens at the end of the day, you have a clean made bed to come into, right? So it just gets you in the practice of getting up and doing something. Because the other thing that I tell people is reduce friction of transition. That's a big concept that I really push on people. Reduce friction of transition. Make it easier to go from one thing to the next. So get up. Okay, now what? That's one of the biggest problems people have. Now what? I don't have anything to do. So what do? They hit snooze. Is that the best sleep you've ever gotten? No. It's anxiety-ridden sleep where you just wonder how long 5 minutes is going to feel until the next snooze alarm, right? It's the worst sleep you're going to have. Then you wake up late, and then now all of a sudden the rest of your day you're in a rush. All because of the 10 minutes that you snooze the alarm. So, but you don't have anything to do. So you don't have any reason to get out of bed. So make your bed, right? And then the rest of the day is successful. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, Kristin. Like, it just gives you that sense of control and order and success very early on.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have a question from Tim.
Tim.
Yes, Tim is inspired by aggressive curiosity with this question, wondering what drives you and who's your mentor?
Aggressive curiosity. I know Tim B, I believe. So I appreciate you, Tim. You're awesome, buddy. I just love the term aggressive curiosity. Like, tell me, come on, I got to know. That's awesome. So who is my mentor? Sorry, what drives me and who is my mentor? Cool. I'll start with the mentor thing first, because I think it's really important to understand. So I did a blog post. So if anybody wants to read my blog, it's nextbetter.com/blog. Hard to find. And I did a blog post on the difference between advisors, mentors, coaches, and consultants. I'm pausing because I want you guys to think about those 4 things. And if you don't know what the difference is, that's important. You should go find out. So a mentor is somebody who's going to kind of guide you along, tell you things that they did or did not do that helped them along their journey, and basically ask the question, who do you want to become? That's what a mentor does. Okay. And if you want to know what the other things do, then go read the blog. Okay. So I had a lot of people love having mentors, but the challenge has become we don't quite know what we want from them. We want them to pat us on the back. We want them to tell us everything's going to be okay. We want them to validate our decisions, right? All things that a mentor could do. If that's all they do, they're not doing a very good job as a mentor, but they could do those things. One of the challenges I had when I was looking for mentors, and I did and still do, and I have mentors, is I looked at this person to be the pristine model of the person that I thought I should become. And there's a lot of flaws there. One, they are human. There's nothing pristine about any human. And so it's too much to ask anybody to be the perfect representation of what you want to become. Two, I had no idea what the hell I wanted to become. So how is this person going to model that? And so I fell into the trap of believing that one person was going to be my mentor, and I was looking for them to kind of validate who I wanted to be. And I quickly started to realize, and I actually sabotaged a lot of my mentorships because I'd be like, well, they're cool here, but they got this flaw over here. So they're obviously not the person I should look up to. And I went through this process with tons of people. And I forgive myself now because I was young and I was kind of naive, right? But that's just not the way to go. So the first step is figuring out, how do you choose mentors? So I don't have a mentor. I have several. I think it's important to have a mentor that you stick with because they're going to learn more about who you are and what you care about over time. If you just meet with people for the first time for 30 minutes and expect them to help you, you're asking for trouble. So it's good to find a mentor to stick with for a while. But you also need to realize that every person, one of my favorite quotes, every person is my superior in some way. And in that, I learn from them. And so you can be mentored by anybody, but you have to understand where you're trying to go. Because if you don't know where you're trying to go, nobody else can help you get there. And so I think it's really important to clarify that. So I have a lot of mentors in a lot of different places of my life that I want to be better. Sometimes they're formal mentorships. I'd like you to be my mentor in this area, and we formalized it. Others are, I just ask them for advice once in a while in an area that I think is really important, and they're willing to talk about it because they love that. But I know that that's what I want to talk about. I know that's something they want to talk about. And so it's important for that to be the case. So a couple mentors in my life, just for people who want to hear more. Obviously, my mother and father are mentors to me in a lot of different ways, not always formally, but I listen and I pay attention and I ask myself, like, do I want to do it this way or do I want to do it a different way? Right? Because they have tools that they're using based off of what they grew up on. That doesn't mean they're the tools that I want to use, but I still listen and I pay attention and I appreciate. Kevin Ling's a buddy of mine. He's very much into financial independence. He has a cookie company because he wants to, not because he has to. It's like a little side gig. It's called Loaded Dough. So if anybody's in the Indianapolis area, look up Loaded Dough. My man, Kevin Ling, the best cookie you will ever taste. I will fight you. I will pay for your cookies to buy them for the first time. And if I'm right, you have to buy me double the amount of cookies you bought. That's the deal. So Kevin Ling is a phenomenal mentor in that space. Now, Kevin Ling also and I have very big differences. He loves absorbing knowledge and listening to things and reading podcasts and blogs and all those things. And so he sends them to me all the time. And one time I had to tell him, Kevin, I love you to death, buddy. I'm not reading or listening to any of this stuff because I have a very particular way that I absorb information, and I don't like a lot of different things coming to me. I like one book at a time kind of thing. So I don't fault him for that. I don't say, hey, Kevin, you're a horrible mentor because you don't do it the way I think you should do it. No, I appreciate him for what he has and what he is. And when it comes to certain things, I don't look for that from him. So I think that's really important. So Kevin's a really good friend of mine, a good buddy and a good mentor. And so I've had other mentors along the way that have helped me. I'm not going to list all of them, but I think that's a really important concept for mentorship, is to be really clear about what you want and be able to see that in somebody else, and then also realize they're human. So don't expect them to be the perfect representation of everything that you're looking for, and don't throw them out just because they have a flaw. So. And what drives me is my purpose in life, which is to give people the direction to find a fulfilling life or build a fulfilling life so they can contribute meaningfully to the world. That's what I do this podcast for. That's what I teach at Purdue for. That's why I have my business, to help you find direction to build a fulfilling life so you can contribute meaningfully to the world.
Why does that drive you?
It's a really good question. So there are a couple different reasons or practices to find your why. It's a practice I do with my clients. So one of the things I do with my clients, I found out early on in my work, because I started off in health and wellness, right? And most people don't exercise. So they'd come to me and I'd have trouble motivating them to want to exercise. And we'd be talking like, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to lose weight and get in shape. Lose weight, get in shape. Lose weight, get in shape. I'd be sitting on a beach with a Mai Tai right now if I had $1 for every time somebody told me they wanted to lose weight and get in shape. And so after learning more about them, I realized, well, my job sucks. I'm having trouble with my relationships at home. I'm not leading as effectively as I'd like to. I'm stressed out to the gills at work, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, losing 10 pounds ain't going to help all those things. And so that's when I started to realize that to truly be motivated to get out of bed in the morning and go through this thing called life, because there is suffering in it, you got to have a direction. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a reason to get up. And some people can articulate that very effectively. Others just kind of get a feeling from it, and that's okay. Either way, I find that having a clear sense helps me get more motivated. And so to find out what motivates you, you got to think through your experiences, the good and the bad and the ugly. And you got to ask yourself through deep work. Like I do this with clients, and it takes us, 4 or 5 hours over the course of a couple sessions. You got to find out what are the golden themes, what are the things that are happening in all of those experiences that kind of go down to the basic universal premise for why that's important. So helping people find direction in life. I believe that when we know what we want to do with our lives, we are much more capable and driven and willing to do hard things. And so if I can help people find direction, then they are going to be more driven to want to do the sucky thing, get better at leadership, forego the crappy food because they know why it's better for them, delay gratification, which is really, really hard for people when they don't have a reason to do so. Humans, all humans, myself included, right? They're willing to do the hard things because they have a purpose in life. They have a reason to get out of bed. And so why do they have, what's the direction do? It helps them build a fulfilling life. I think everybody deserves to have a life that they love, to get out of bed on purpose every single morning and be grateful for the things they have, be empathetic to the people around them, take responsibility for their betterment, and be grateful each and every day. So they can build a fulfilling life doing that if they have the direction. And why is all of that important? Because I think if everybody's contributing meaningfully to the world is going to be a much, 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 much better place. And so that is why that's important to me. And a lot of my life experiences have led to that being important to me.
You've helped many people because of fulfilling that purpose and passion. So that's wonderful.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. And hopefully you can help Vic. We have a next question from Vic. A little
bit
of a backstory. A little bit of a backstory. Vic said, I work as a software engineer and have a stable salary that covers all my needs, but sometimes my work is unfulfilling and I'll procrastinate thinking about how I could be doing more important work towards my goals. I am not in a position where I could sacrifice my stable job to pursue my own interests, but I have very ambitious goals that would require a lot of time and effort that I don't have right now, partly due to the procrastination, which is great that you're aware of that.
Yes, self-awareness.
Yep. And I feel like I am running out of time to achieve them, which makes me question my abilities further and further unmotivates me, creating a vicious cycle. So tough situation. Yeah. Vic is wondering, his question is, how can I manage self-expectations and stay motivated to pursue my goals when I'm already financially stable and considered successful? How do you deal with the realization that you might not achieve your dreams?
Sure. Appreciate this, Vic. I think this is a phenomenal question that we all need to consider, right? Most midlife crises occur in this very situation, right? A midlife crisis, an existential crisis is basically just what's my reason for being? What's this all about? I've worked so hard. What's the reason for living? Yada, 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 right? And so that's kind of where Vic might be a little bit, is this idea of, okay, I'm stable. Is there any reason why I should keep pushing and trying harder and striving? I have things I want to do, but I'm procrastinating. I don't have the motivation to do them, right? And so I'm kind of just pushing them off. And then that leads to, well, I'm not motivated. I don't have confidence because I'm not doing it, So yeah, there's a couple couple aspects to this that I think are important to consider. Okay. And some of the other questions that we talked about kind of lead into this, because most of the work I do is on mindset first. The first thing is to remember our lives are practices, not projects. You will never do enough in your life. Sorry for anybody who didn't want to hear that. There's always more you could have done. You're listening to this right now. You could have been learning to play the flute, right? There's an infinite number of things you could be doing right now. You chose to be here, and I am so grateful for that. But there's always more you could have done. That the answer to could I have done more is always yes. So we have to start pretending like we can 100% our lives. There's no 100%ing this thing called life. Okay. And that's where I think a lot of technology and advancements in access to knowledge has really got us screwed up, because we see all of these things and we think, oh, I could do that, and 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 I could do this, and I should do that, and I should be more like this, and I should have less like that, and I should be more like this person. And then we don't do any of it because we just get paralysis by analysis, right? I don't know what to do, so I won't do anything. And so the first step is to remember that our life is a practice, and our goal is not to finish our life. It's to beautify our lives. It's to maximize the amount of whatever it is we want to put out. A strong purpose in life has two parts, right? Simon Sinek talks about this. Contribution and impact. Contribution, what do I give to the world? What's the impact of that contribution? And the best purposes in life are in service of others. Why? Because we're going to die one day. And our hope is that we leave the world better than we found it. And the quote that's over my shoulder, which is the default quote I always put on my board, is what you do in life is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. And so, so if we focus too much on all the external stuff, your statue will crumble, right? If you don't believe me, look at all of the kings and all of the pharaohs who were the most important people in the world thousands of years ago. Where are their statues now? And so instead, we have to ask ourselves, with the time that I have, right? Knowing that this time will end. There's a practice in Buddhism that talks about this, that knowing that my time will end, and not knowing when that time is, what shall I do? Knowing that this time will end and not knowing when that time comes, what shall I do? That's the big question. And so if you realize that your goal is to maximize the impact that you have on whoever matters to you, that could be your son, that could be your family, that could be this society or the world. You get to decide that, but recognizing that is the first step. There's no finishing this. Okay. So I think that's important for Vic to understand. The second thing is to understand this. You can drastically change the lives of one person in a matter of moments or in a matter of years. You can drastically change the lives of 30 people in a matter of moments or in a matter of years. The misconception of how much time it takes to impact people is astronomical. I've seen people go from barely getting by to making millions of dollars in the course of a year or two, right? Now, it was hard work. I'm not suggesting that's what you have to do. I'm not even suggesting that making $1 million is really any sort of measurement of impact. But what I am saying is we put so much pressure on ourselves to like that. We need 20 years to really do anything in life. And that's just simply not the case. We could write a book that nobody reads until we die, right? Which could take us 6 months to write a book. Nobody reads until we die. And then it becomes one of the most impactful books on the earth. So the question becomes, is that success to us? Do we have to be around for that impact to be felt? How are we measuring success? How are we measuring impact? So to Vic's question, I really think it's important to, one, remember that it's a practice. You're constantly trying to see how you can impact people. Two, it's determining, how do we measure success? How do we measure impact? I think having a purpose statement and really understanding that sense of direction is important, because right now Vic is comfortable, and the enemy of great is good. Life is good. And if that's fine with you, then like there's no judgment there. There are plenty of people that are out there making $45,000 a year with their spouse, living a good life, going mountain biking on the weekend, having beer with their friends, right? Loving life, happy as can be. Good. But what I hear from Vic and what I hear from so many people is, that's not enough for me. Okay. You have made the decision that you want to do more. I think it's really important to have gratitude for what you have, but then start to ask yourself, if you want more, what does more look like? What are these aspirational goals? You mentioned, Vic, you might not have enough time. Well, okay. So it might take 20 years to get to the goal that you're talking about. Can you be satisfied if you get 10% of that goal done? Is the world a little bit of a better place if you do 10%? Because my guess is, once you get to 10%, and as a software engineer, I can imagine that you want to really see this laid out in some sort of Gantt chart, right? Like stage gates and processes, right? Time flows. So figure out what the full looks like, and then ask yourself this impact you want to make, right? Whatever that happens to be. And then ask yourself, if I got 10% of the way there and that impacted some lives, would I feel good about that? Because then, and again, if you know what your purpose is and it aligns with your purpose, then you get the motivation to do it. Why? Because it's not this overwhelming, daunting thing that you may or may not get done. It's a practice that you have decided is going to benefit the world, and you're going to work towards it. You may never finish it. That's okay. Maybe you bring somebody else on board and they finish it, right? I'm not going to change the world. That's okay. I'm still going to talk about this stuff. I'm still going to sit here and answer Vic's question. Maybe my son picks up this gauntlet and takes it and runs with it. Maybe he realizes, oh, my dad was a coach. Look at all these really cool videos he did. That's what I want to do. And so then he takes it and runs with it. Or he goes and impacts somebody else in some other way, because again, what we leave behind isn't etched on stone monuments. It's woven into the lives of others. By the way, that was Pericles who said that. So asking yourself, can I be okay with just 10%? And then start working on that. Start chipping away at it. And you'd be amazed. I bet you money, if you thought it took 20 years, it takes 3. And you might even blow it out of the water. But then, because you have a vision, once you hit that milestone, because it may be what I want to write a book that impacts 10,000 people. Okay, you do that in 2 years. Now you're like, well, now what? That's a milestone. It's not the finish. It's not the project. You have a direction. You're going north, right? And you hit this milestone of the book that impacted 100 million lives. Great. Doesn't matter, because I'm going to keep going north. And that's what the most powerful, most passionate people have, is they have a sense of direction. And when they hit the milestones, that's okay. It's great. Feel good about it, but get excited about the fact that you get to keep moving forward another day. So, Vic, I hope that helps. I know that's a lot to take in, but I think there's some reflection on, what does success actually look like? What impact are you trying to make with this side hustle of yours? And if you can't prioritize, if you want, Vic, you reach out, we'll do a time audit. I can almost guarantee that you have some time to work on it. Okay. I'm not trying to be uncouth. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I bet we could find some time. I don't think it's the time that you're struggling with. I think it's the prioritization, because you think you won't make the impact that you could. So I think really reprioritizing and restructuring what that looks like first, and then starting to ask yourself, where could I find an hour a day or 3 hours a month to dedicate to this thing that I think is going to be beneficial to the world? And then if you can't figure that out, let it go and just really enjoy what you got, buddy, because what you got already is awesome. And there's nobody who can tell you that it's not enough, because it is. But maybe you could do more.
And what was it you said? Just 18 minutes a day makes you better than.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we could time audit Vic's day and find 18 minutes each day to work on his.
Oh, for sure. And I'll do that for free, Vic. Come and talk to me, buddy. Well, I'd love to help you out, because I think this is what a lot of people are struggling with. There's, the richest place in the world, Kristin?
No.
The cemetery.
Uh,
That's because that's where the most beautiful, impactful ideas go to die, because nobody ever realized them. And so I think a lot of people are struggling with this. This is why I do what I do. Because if I can help Vic or anybody find direction to build a fulfilling life that contributes meaningfully to the world, Vic may quit his job in 5 years because he's out here freaking crushing it, doing the thing that actually matters to him instead of all this stuff that he doesn't. And again, his contribution to the world has been phenomenal. Software engineers are needed. Like I use apps all the time. I use software all the time. I'm spreading my message like this, but it's not fulfilling to him. So finding a way to make his fulfillment his side gig until it can become his full gig, and maybe it never does. That's okay. Maybe he retires at 65, and then for the next 15 years, because he's done the work to take care of himself physically, which is one of the 8 areas, next 15 years of his life, instead of sitting at home watching Jerry Springer, as most retirement people do, he's out there doing this side gig now, and he's using all the things that he's learned to change the world. Right? That's my purpose in life. How do I help people like Vic? And it's so important.
Very important. I want to kind of just ask you to dig more into the part where Vic said it makes him question his abilities to do what he wants to do, and that further unmotivates him. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, and it's so hard when you are sitting questioning yourself, and it makes it hard to even like take that first step. So how do you suggest going about that, navigating that?
Yeah. I want to start this statement because I think it's important to answer this question, but I want to start with this idea, this to all the listeners. I'm not sitting on a high horse here telling you do it because I said so, because I'm the most motivated person and most confident. But I've been riddled with anxiety. I've been crippled by it, curled up on the floor crying kind of anxiety before. So please hear me when I say I understand what this feels like. And I'm here to tell you by experience that action breeds confidence. Taking action. Now, you have to let go of the idea that small actions don't matter. That's one of the biggest hindrances to progress, right? I want to climb a mountain. Okay, take one step closer to the mountain. Well, yeah, but that's not really like, you have to take a step closer to the mountain to climb the mountain, right? Right. I'm facing north right now. If I wanted to go climb Denali, I'm taking a step northwest. Right. Is that impactful? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, you got to do it to get it done. And so taking action breeds confidence. And so much of our worry and our angst is in our heads, because that's where we spend a lot of the time pretending that's where we're going to get things done. We have to take action. There's a difference between confidence and competence. And I think that's important for people to understand. Confidence is your belief in your ability to do it. Competence is your ability to do it. And so you got to go out and learn the skills. So if you're having trouble getting it done, you might have to take a step back and go, okay, like I'm not doing something's missing here. I've done this, like I'm a coach, right? And I still have to constantly check myself. Like maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was at messaging or marketing or sales or whatever. That's competence. Your confidence is your ability to believe that you can do it. And you can have confidence in your ability to believe you can learn how to do it. Right? I don't know how to play the harmonica. Could I learn how to play the harmonica? Hell yeah. I'm confident that I could learn how to play the harmonica. I just, I haven't, because it hasn't been a priority to me. And so I think so many people get caught up in this idea of I have to have confidence first and then I'll go do it. No. Knock that off, right? Be done with that. Figure out the easiest next step to go towards it and do that next step. Now I'm better than I was before. That's confidence. And let go of, well, I'm closer, but I'm still not where they are. Forget them. Martin Luther King didn't care about where people were. All right. He's like, oh, you're on this mission with me. Let's go. Awesome. Let's work together. Right. Comparison is the thief of joy. So you have to you have to just be confident in your own self, not compare where everybody else is compared to where you are. Again, I've been there, right? Comparison is that's why I shut off social media, not because it's a time waster, because it kills me inside, because I compare myself to other people. And so I shut it off because I know that that's not healthy for me. And I need to be focused on, like, yes, it takes away from my time to do it, but it also takes away from my mental capacity to feel like I can do something, because I'm like, oh, well, look where they are. I'm never going to be there. Well, they're there because they're not sitting on social media wondering where everybody else is at. So I think confidence is bred by action. You got to take action. So figure out what those steps are, put it in a chart, put it in a timeline, put it on a to-do list, whatever makes you feel better. Get some accountability. I always think there's beauty in accountability. I love helping people stay accountable. Like, I mentor a ton of people for free. And the biggest thing I do is just, we check in. Did you do what I said? Did you do what you said you were going to do? Not even what I said. Did you do what you said you were going to do? Yes. Cool. What are you going to do now? This. Okay. See you in a month. Accountability, right? So finding people who can help you stay accountable, that you don't feel judged by, is a powerful tool as well, to give you that reason to continue to push forward and strive. It's the reason I have a book on the shelf club. So if people who don't know, I do a monthly book review. The reason is because I love to read, but it can easily become a habit that I don't follow. So I was like, well, I'll just tell everybody that I'm going to review a book every month. Now I have to do it. Right. So that's the book of the month. This month was The Power of Moments by the Heath brothers. Phenomenal book. Read it, loved it, did a review on it, shared it with the world. So not only do I bring value to the world because of it, but I also get value because it forces me to read a book a month. So again, accountability, confidence, take action, build a plan, take the action, have something to hold you accountable to it, is I think the important part of all of that.
On that note, what's one book that you would recommend anybody read that is struggling with taking action towards a goal? Oh, no hesitation. More than one?
I'm going to give you 3 books. One I really like is called
Rank
Build the Life.
Rank them.
Rank them? Well, I'm not going to rank them based off of the books what I like. I'll rank them based off of how aligned they are with your question.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the most aligned is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Especially since this is for Vic, right? Because the other thing is, this is based off of what I think, not what other people may perceive from it. So some people like systems. Software engineer probably likes systems. Atomic Habits, systems, right? So how to build habits. This is the system for building habits. Talks a lot about like reducing friction, right? So make it easy, make it obvious, those things. There's a 4-step process for that. So Atomic Habits for building habits. Habits are where confidence is bred, because a habit happens enough that it makes it something that's going to become big. Nothing big ever happened because of a one-off. Viral videos are a myth. People made thousands upon thousands of videos and then one hit. They didn't make one video that was viral, right? So Atomic Habits. The next one is High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. So he is a phenomenal coach, one of the best coaches in the world, actively coaching for billionaires, right? So people want him. And this talks all about how to become extraordinary through your habits. Like, what are extraordinary people doing? And it talks, they're very manageable things. Like, how do you manage your energy by time blocking and blah, blah, blah. So really cool book. So again, this isn't going to tell you the direction of your life. So you got to figure that out first. This is going to help you build the habits to get towards it. Right. So that's one. And then Build the Life You Want, just to give you a better understanding of what happiness breeds. So this is by Arthur Brooks. And this talks about, like, what do happy people do to be happy? Right. Build the life you want. So it goes back to that whole, I have a lot of things that I want to do, but I'm not doing them because it's not things that I have to do. It's like, well, don't you want a life of things you want to do? And they just happen to also be the things you like to do. I want to coach people. I also have to if I want to make money for my job. So aligning those two things. So I think those would be 3 phenomenal books for somebody. And then there's another one called Start With Why, which will give you that sense of why it's so important to have direction in your life.
Wonderful. Thank you for the 4 book recommendations.
Absolutely. Yeah, you wanted one. Sorry. But those are all really, really good ones. And so just take your pick on which one you want to start with. Again, action. Oh, by the way, 10 pages a day. sorry for anybody who believes they can't read. I'm not a reader. I don't read. What you're saying is I'm not willing to better myself by absorbing knowledge from another human. Call it outright, because you can do that in podcasts and you can do that in audiobooks, but people pick audiobooks because they can do other stuff while they do it, and they're not necessarily absorbing why that happens, right? They're not really listening. So I'm fine with any form of you bettering yourself through knowledge, but just do it. 10 pages a day, very manageable. Very manageable.
Absolutely. Well, we are on time. We have one more question that we can talk about for our next show.
Cue it
from
up.
Jared. Yeah. Wondering what are some of the best ways to balance professional and family life? So we'll talk a lot about work-life balance. Yeah, you don't like that word.
The myth. I don't like how much pressure people put on themselves to find something that is no longer a relevant question, right? Like people asking, that's like asking, like, how do I fix my rotary phone? It's like, we're past that. We're past this idea of work-life balance. And I'm not suggesting to people that they shouldn't be able to take off time from work. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying our society is no longer built to allow for you to leave it at home or leave it at work. It's just not how it works anymore. So I'm very excited about that topic, because I just think it's such a fallacy that people are like they're chasing. It's like the food pyramid. There are still people out there that think the food pyramid is the actual healthy way to eat, with 8 to 11 grain servings a day, right? And it's just that we know better now, but people are still out there thinking it. So I am very excited to talk more about work-life balance and the fallacies around it, and what really is happening that we should be considering.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. So if you like this, guys, thank you so much to Vic and Anonymous A and Anonymous 2 for the opportunity to answer some of your questions. Jared, can't wait to answer yours, buddy. Tim, thank you. Appreciate you as well. And Kristin, always, I appreciate you. Super excited for your new journey. I can't wait to see the new background that you come up with in your new location. So until we meet next time, guys, remember, check us out on Next Better, the Next Better podcast, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen. We do this AMA live show every other week on Wednesdays at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn and YouTube. So feel free to hop on. We have a form that you can fill out if you ever want to ask your own question and do it anonymously. But till the next time we meet, my name is Coach Woody with Kristin Rinkel. You make it a great day.